The Spongebob Movie. Sponge on the Run is the third movie to come out in this long-running series of 22 years now? Yeah, 1999, a year before I was born. So this show has kind of been a part of my life for ever. Jesus Christ, I'm old. This movie is about SpongeBob and Patrick teaming up to go to the lost city of Atlantic City to find King Poseidon to rescue Gary because he's been snail-napped and to be used as facial cream for the king. Don't ask where King Neptune is, I guess he's just nowhere around. That's a nitpick. That's not like a problem against the movie, it's a nitpick, but I was wondering, where's King Neptune? I don't know, he's kind of like an established king character already, but whatever. I enjoy the first SpongeBob movie a lot. I legitimately think it's like a really great movie. And it also perfectly encapsulates how much I love SpongeBob in that era. Those earlier seasons are so clever and unique, and they're really zany and hilarious, and you have these characters, and I like all of them. And as the show kind of went on, originally the plan obviously was the movie would come out and that would be it, but of course SpongeBob's really popular. You can't shut it off, so they obviously have kept it going for many years now, and they kept going pretty well, and kind of recently I've noticed they kind of stepped off and they're not really of the same caliber of humor anymore, and it seems like now specifically they're only for kids as opposed to being a family, adult, and kids can enjoy kind of show. But nonetheless, even though those episodes were declining in quality, at least for me, the ones I caught, the Sponge Out of Water movie I actually enjoyed. It was funny because when I was a kid and I saw the picture of them being superheroes in CG animation, I made a whole video ranting about it, how upset I was, and how this was gonna be ruining the SpongeBob brand or something. It got a ton of dislikes. I got clowned. My, how old was I? 13, 14-year-old ass was clowned. And then the movie came out and I liked it. So that old video is nowhere to be found. Don't look for it. But it was, how embarrassing. The point is that I liked that movie. So there was a part of me that was like, okay, I am holding out hope even though the series has kind of just become what it is. I'm hoping that maybe the movies can still be special. I'm hoping this can still work out well. It didn't really ease my skepticism knowing that Tim Hill was directing and writing this movie because even though he helped write that first SpongeBob movie, he's also had a hand in directing movies like Hop, The War with Grandpa, that's his most recent picture. I think he did one of the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies too, and something else, I think. So it was something else kind of embarrassing. Oh man. But yeah, I was not really eased out of my skepticism by that, but I was hoping, he's back with SpongeBob, so maybe he's gonna thrive once he's back to his roots? Question mark. Stephen Hillenburg passed away in 2018, late 2018 if I remember correctly. It was very unfortunate and very sad, but a couple months after that, not only did they start shooting this movie, but they also announced Kamp Koral, an animated spin-off show that was going to be a prequel with all of the characters kids, and they're conveniently at the same summer camp. They had a lot of fun adventures together, apparently. It's led to this controversy surrounding Stephen Hillenburg and his legacy and what he would have wanted out of SpongeBob. Basically, some comments he made in a 2009 interview stated that he just could not picture any spin-offs to the original show. It just kind of works because SpongeBob is the main character. It'd be weird to do spin-offs. I don't see it happening. And this has sparked a lot of controversy because fans noticed that interview that Hillenburg did, and people remember that Hillenburg originally wanted this to end with that first movie, so people are wondering, why are you doing this to this man's legacy? It would be fine if you maybe just kept the show going, but to do this other show and completely go against what he wanted. Paul Tibbitt, who worked with Stephen Hillenburg for many years on SpongeBob, even came out and said, this is some pure, studio executive, action, some meddling going on here. This is not what he would have wanted. We would joke about the possibility of a SpongeBob Babies kind of show in the vein of Muppet Babies, and he would say that whenever that happens, he's out, so we would not have liked this. But then, the showrunner for Kamp Koral comes out and says, he knew about this when we started developing this. He was well aware about this show happening. Which, if you look at the timeline, he unfortunately passed away late 2018, and they started filming the movie, which is heavily reliant on this Kamp Koral subplot, this backdoor pilot for that show. They started filming that movie early 2019, I believe January 2019. So technically, yeah, there's really no way that they would have gone ahead to start shooting that movie with that script if Stephen Hillenburg didn't know that they were about to do that show, because as they even said, animation takes a long time to do, so we were working on this for quite a while. There's this whole debate whether they're lying or if Paul Tibbitt is in the right here, who's what would Hillenburg want? Is this something he would be even proud of? And I don't know. I know the title of the video is Would Stephen Hillenburg Be Proud? But honestly, I don't know what the answer is. If he would have been proud of what they did here, or if he would have been totally against it. I don't want to make a firm statement because either one could maybe be debunked later on. I don't want to go on the attack without all the information. So I can't really tell you if this is something Hillenburg approved of or if he didn't. But what I can tell you is that this movie sucks. There's a couple things I do like about this movie. First of all, the voice cast. I'm always going to have great appreciation for them. I've grown up with these characters. I love seeing them. These voice actors never seem like they're phoning it in or seem bored or unappreciative of the roles they have. They're all great as these characters. A lot of my goodwill towards this movie is how much I do enjoy this voice cast. There are a couple jokes in there that I was like, that's pretty funny. I'm glad they had that. King Poseidon, even though, you know, Neptune, I don't know why he's not there, whatever. King Poseidon I actually found really funny. Like, whenever he was on screen, I was like, I enjoy this character. Matt Berry voices him from Disenchantment. I really love hearing his voice. He's really great as this character. I wanted more of him. The plot is actually not bad. Like, aside from the Kamp Koral stuff, this actually isn't a bad idea as far as they're plotting to get to a grandiose kind of feature film similar to that first movie, because even though I enjoyed Sponge Out of Water, it definitely did have that feel of like this is like a two-parter stretched out to like about an hour and a half. And it's kind of the same thing with this movie. Besides that, the ideas in the start were there to have something really grand. It kind of all comes down to execution though, and unfortunately, I found a lot of this movie very unfunny. I like these characters enough, but there's some jokes that they tell, some tangents they go on, and it's really obnoxious. It just borders on annoying. There's scarcely any like clever jokes or like originality in this movie. Some of the more zanier aspects of this just kind of feel random and kind of like I just don't see how this fits. They obviously do zany stuff in those previous two movies, but it felt like it fit and I was on board with the ride. With this one, Keanu Reeves shows up as a sage. He's like his head's in a tumbleweed, and all of a sudden, I'm in this story now because I'm like your spiritual guide. You guys are on land right now because you're in a shared dream. It just all of a sudden is just thrown into the movie. And this scene goes on with Snoop Dogg showing up with zombie pirate ghosts having a song and dance number about how they need to be freed. Danny Trejo shows up as like the boss level in this area, and they have to quickly defeat him, which they do. And I'm watching this scene play out, this insane scene for a SpongeBob movie, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck is going on? What importance does this have? They said this was a dream already, so I don't know why I should be caring right now. All of a sudden they wake up, they're back underwater, no longer on land, but the tumbleweed is still there. Keanu Reeves is in this movie more than I thought he would be. It's a bad effect. Like, you can tell that he's reading off of lines and he's not really acting off of anything, but just the effect, his head, whenever it rolls around in the tumble, it's like, it just doesn't look all that good. There's several moments where, like, the editing is really bad and it doesn't really line up, and some of those VFX shots just didn't look too good. They look pretty shoddy. But the thing about Keanu Reeves is that, like, him as a tumbleweed actually sounds pretty hilarious, like a spiritual guide who gets frustrated because he's helped a lot of heroes, but he's helping, like, these two guys now. It's like, that could be, like, an interesting movie if they maybe honed in on that a bit more. This movie feels like a lot of ideas that they had, and they don't really gel or come together. Like, the whole point of that vision we find to come out is that we wanted to teach SpongeBob how to find courage. You have a courage coin now. Make sure not to lose it, or else you'll lose your courage or whatever. And even though technically it's something they introduced, the way it comes about into the plot, it feels so random. Like, Patrick is just like, what's stopping us from going on this adventure? And SpongeBob's like, lack of courage, something like that. And after they said that, I was kind of thinking, like, I feel like a lot of that first SpongeBob movie was him realizing, like, it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to not be like a manly man or anything like that, as long as you are you and you're doing the best that you can in a situation. So I feel like maybe this, like, I don't have any courage thing wouldn't really apply. Especially later when it goes on, when he's like, I lost the coin, I don't have any courage, oh my god. It's like, what is this? Why is this a factor in the movie? And Keanu Reeves doesn't have anything like annoying joke-wise, he's just not funny. And the one thing that I actually did find funny in this movie, King Poseidon, as I mentioned, played by Matt Berry, and even his Chancellor, played by Reggie Watts, they had a good back and forth. When they were introduced, I was on board, because the movie opens with SpongeBob and Patrick just going like, good morning, over and over, like just getting louder each time, and it's like, it just builds to Squidward leaning out the window and going, shut up, and then smacking his nose on the window. It's like, what is this? And then it transitions into a pop song performed by Weezer that's like, about how great it is to be in Bikini Bottom while SpongeBob walks Gary, and you see how much they bond to emphasize how much he loves the snail. And I was like, I'm not digging this movie. The modern pop soundtrack gets worse as it goes on. I'm just gonna warn you. Hans Zimmer does the score. Not that you would be able to tell, because it's crowded out by all these terrible other songs. And the score just, sorry Hans, it's not that good to begin with either way, not that memorable. But once they shifted in the beginning to King Poseidon, I was like, this actually has like a spark of life in it. I'm actually kind of on board to see more of this villain. He's likable, he's funny, let's see what he can do, because he seems like he can also be a big threat. And then throughout the rest of the movie, he's barely in it. And it all builds to this climax where they're all talking to him, and nothing is hitting emotionally, nothing feels like it's paying off, and you never feel like King Poseidon becomes like an actual character other than the caricature. You never have a scene where, you never see Gary be kidnapped, you don't see Gary adjusting to his new environment, you never see a scene from Gary's point of view getting to know the king, understanding his insecurities, or understanding about it. Just, he's just nothing. I wanted more of that king, because he was the one thing I enjoyed when a scene popped up in the beginning, and they didn't give more of him. Instead, I'm forced to watch these characters that I used to like and now are just kind of annoying and kind of just telling jokes that aren't funny anymore. Plankton, the way he kind of starts the movie with his plot to steal the formula, messing with SpongeBob, realizing SpongeBob is the one who gets in his way, I was like, that's good. Let's see where this goes. This is actually pretty good. And then, there's really no way I can talk about this without spoiling it, so spoilers. He gets it. He literally gets the formula. He defeats Krabs. The restaurant is in disarray because SpongeBob's not there. He gets the formula from Krabs, and Krabs is just sad, and he's like, good luck, Plankton. Send my regards to your wife. And he's like, this isn't how I want it to win. Aw, phooey. Well, I guess I'll head across the street now. And it's like, okay, this isn't how he wanted to win, but he's got the formula. How are they going to fix this? And the answer to that question is they don't. They don't really address that Plankton still has the formula at his house. They didn't show a scene where it like burnt up or like it just went away, or he can't get it right, because as Mr. Krabs even says later on in the movie, a formula is just a formula. It's the chef that makes it special, and SpongeBob is the key to what makes the Krabby Patty so great, or something. Like, he never has a scene where he realizes that. Just nothing comes from him actually getting the formula. Just all of a sudden, Sandy, Squidward, and Krabs decide to go save SpongeBob because they see him on the news, and Plankton just conveniently opens the door to the Krusty Krab and is like, mind if I tag along? And even after that, like, there's no resolution with his plan, his character arc in this movie. There's nothing. It's like, what do you do? What is this? He literally has the formula at his house. As far as what you've shown, which is him walking to his house with the formula, he still has it. Like, this is a huge deal. What do you... There's no, like, fun action or fun suspense or anything like that, or funny, wacky moments where you're kind of engaged in what's going on. In some cases, it's a bunch of random scenes, but then other times it's just a bunch of scenes that, you expect to happen now, so we're going through it. If it doesn't have the proper motivation to back it up, who cares? There's, like, a whole thing near the end of this movie where SpongeBob is put on trial. He's about to be executed with Patrick, but the characters, they come to rescue him, and they go on a long speech playing to King Poseidon, going on different monologues per character, talking about how much SpongeBob means to them. And this is where the Kamp Koral shit comes in. At first it was just, oh, he met Gary at Kamp Koral. Okay, I don't remember them like having a backstory of them meeting in the cartoon, so okay, if you want to do it here, that's fine. But then what they decide to do is, we're going to spend like 10 minutes. Each character is going to have a separate scene where we've been positively impacted by SpongeBob at Kamp Koral. So Sandy, they meet at Kamp Koral even though they were supposed to meet in the show in the Tree Dome episode where he's going, water! That was supposed to be the first time they met, but they retconned it. There's a clip going around Twitter. I feel like I'm going on several different tangents, but whatever. There's a clip going around on Twitter going like, see, we planned this out from the beginning. This wasn't put in because people were mad at us. No, this was planned out. It's a scene in the show where young Sandy at Kamp Koral gets in contact with future Sandy, and she's like, "Hey, I'm glad you made it to camp, and I'm glad to talk to you from the future, preserving that timeline. That's why I sent you here." Even though that doesn't make any sense in and of itself, because it's like, if you're preserving the timeline, why would you change the timeline? What the fuck? I know it's not that big a deal. Like, honestly, I'm not gonna watch the show, so it doesn't matter to me. But in this movie's context, they completely contradict the show. And for a movie that's literally dedicated to Stephen Hillenburg, you'd think they would maybe try to show some respect. But after they meet at Kamp Koral, Sandy reveals that he's the reason why I pursued science. He encouraged me. Squidward, he's the reason that he's pursuing music because of SpongeBob. And Mr. Krabs, he reveals that SpongeBob gave him the idea to open a restaurant. The Krusty Krab wouldn't exist without SpongeBob. Just one after the other of each scene going like, "Yeah, SpongeBob really changed my life for the better." And at one point, Squidward gets really somber with the shit. He at one point is just like, "Even though he annoys me, he's a really great friend. And he doesn't deserve to die." Like, real somber and sad, and I was like, oh my god, Squidward literally just said that? What the fuck am I watching? And then it turns into a musical number. Not even a good one. Not even one that you would find in the SpongeBob Broadway musical. Like a really bad one that just starts. Literally, the entire scene of them putting in a backdoor pilot for Kamp Koral goes on way too long, and ultimately, it's just padding. The scene is just, hey, we need to get SpongeBob off the stage, quick distraction, let's go. But instead, they drag it out for the Kamp Koral shit. Like, just start off with a musical number. Something clever, something that works. Ah! And I hate to say that this is the last thing I'll say negatively about this movie, but, well, I'll start off with a positive. The establishing shots with the new animation, the CG animation they have, those don't look too bad. If you were just looking at like a still frame of this movie's animation, you'd probably say, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. And yeah, there's certain things that I was like, that's visually kind of cool, what they're doing there. But when you see it in motion for long enough, after a while, it kind of starts to look real ugly. Like, after a while, I was like, this is not appealing at all to me. Like, I hate to be the predictable traditionalist, but you could have just stuck with the 2D animation style and I would not have cared. Hell, even the CGI animation in Sponge Out of Water, when they come out of the water and they're CG models now, even that looks better than what they decide to go for the entire movie. And it's like, why did they decide to do this? I don't know why they did this other than it looks flashier or something. But like, I prefer 2D for in this case. I want to see SpongeBob in 2D, damn it! This ugly CG doesn't work. Jesus Christ. No, I really do feel bad for like the VFX artists that work really hard on this, but I just do not think the style was worth it at the end. I don't understand a lot of the creative decisions they made on this film. So whether Stephen Hillenburg was for this movie, for Kamp Koral from the start, or if he didn't know about it and he would not have been proud of this movie, either way it doesn't matter because the movie just doesn't work. Kids will probably like it because they're dumb. I'm sorry to say it like that, but they don't have good taste yet, so they'll probably like this movie because they don't know the good SpongeBob, the clever and zany but in a way that works SpongeBob. Now they just have annoying childish SpongeBob that they just say annoying jokes and they have modern pop songs throughout the movie. I was just about to wrap this video up, and I want to bring this up really quick. After the last frame of the movie, before they show the credits, they cut to a title card that says, "In memory of Stephen Hillenburg." And I was like, okay, at least they have that. At least they have something to honor the man like this. Even if the rest of the movie doesn't, at least there's this, they're aware and they did it. That's nice of them. And while they show the card, they played like the do-do-do-do-do-do-do, you know, the last musical note at the end of the theme song. And then they play it again, but this time it sounds different. And I was like, what's different about this nose flute? And then all of a sudden, the title card fades out, and a mere second later, the credits start, and then this new pop song starts playing, using the SpongeBob, like it's a new version of the SpongeBob theme called Agua, where the rapper just starts going, "Who lives in a pineapple under the sea," like with a beat and everything, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You just showed something that was like really sweet and very nice and touching. Wouldn't you want to follow that up with maybe some music? Hans Zimmer score maybe, in vein with the score that plays in like the original series and everything like that, and just have it carry the audience through the credits. Why are you just abruptly putting on, all right, now that we've got our nice little message out to Stephen Hillenburg, boom, rap song of the theme song that you love. Now it's a rap version, or they sampled it for this part of the song. What the fuck are you doing, Nickelodeon? What the fuck is this? I literally saw in an interview them going like, SpongeBob is our Marvel, like their franchise. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you that unaware of what the... Oh, man. Honestly, I don't even hate this movie. I'm just, the things that they do that are annoying and very studio are just, they're that aggravating. I'm gonna give the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, a C-. There are certain things that I liked, just me personally. I can't speak for everyone else. There might be some people out there that really hate this movie. I can see why. There might be people that do enjoy this movie, and I guess I can see why the consensus is kind of mixed. But I did not really care for this movie. Not only is it just the weakest movie, but it's also the worst. It's just easily the worst. Unless they make a fourth one, and that one turns out to be the worst one, but as it stands right now, for the trilogy, this is easily the worst one in my opinion. Like, there's a certain speech that Mr. Krabs goes on that's like really kind of sweet, out of context, but put it in context, it's part of the whole Kamp Koral, elongated everything, nothing feels earned kind of thing. And if you had crafted a movie that was actually like a retrospective on SpongeBob and the characters and their involvements and interactions with each other, and they actually worked on a message, a theme for SpongeBob, something like that, this movie might have actually worked and might have actually been great. Maybe that's why it was called It's a Wonderful Sponge, because they planned on doing something kind of like that. More introspective, more thoughtful. And instead they changed it to do Kamp Koral and just a bunch of shit no one wants, but they think they want it anyways. Fuck! But if you've seen Sponge on the Run, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.